Hey there guys, as we were waiting for Guild Wars 2 to come out, I'm going to be starting this Let's Talk Guild Wars 2 weekly show, just so we can get over all the hot topics and the new topics that are coming up in Guild Wars 2, and we can just talk about them and explore them a little bit more while we wait for the game to come out. So in this first episode, I'm going to be going over structured PvP in Guild Wars 2. As we all know, PvP is a very strong aspect to any MMO out there. A lot of people only play these type of games in order to access the PvP and the sort of competitive side of playing. A lot of people don't like to play against the environment. A lot of people don't like to play against the computer. They only like to play these games to play against other people and to be the best they can be. Different MMOs go about doing PvP in very different ways. For example, Blizzard Entertainment's World of Warcraft goes about doing PvP in an arena system with different maps, with an availability of 2v2, 3v3 and 5v5 to be played on those maps, whereas a game like Warhammer Online, for example, they have realm versus realm PvP, faction on faction. They could be 250 people versus 250 people all in the same map, all trying to take the same keep. These are two very different types of PvP. You have your small scale and you have your large scale. A lot of the player base like both of these. Some like small scale PvP and like the fast pace and skill involved. Some like the large scale PvP where you can just go in there, it looks like an epic battle, and there is skill involved with the little side battles and you try to take over a keep, and it's very cinematic. These are the two majorly popular types of PvP put into MMOs. Now, Guild Wars 2 have put both of these types of PvP into their game on a completely separate level. PvP is one aspect of Guild Wars 2 and it's split into two bits with structured PvP and world PvP. Structured PvP is like that of the arena. It's a place to go if you want to be competitive, it's a place to go to show off your skills and to get in a team and do the best you can do. This type of PvP seems like it's going to be the competitive edge to Guild Wars 2. So how's it all going to work? Structured PvP is going to be split up into two types: tournament play and pickup play. Tournament play is that of a bracket system where you're going to have 5 on 5. It is going to be pre-organised teams where you're going to be put into a tournament bracket, and the best is obviously going to win and retain whatever prizes that may come with that. Pickup play is going to be similar to other MMOs. The easiest way to describe this is it's going to be similar to a first-person shooter setting, where you or a group of people can just opt to join any map or a random map and choose your own settings of what you want to do in PvP and just press join and you will be straight into the action. It seems like it's going to be a more casual type base. Maybe if you don't want to go straight into a tournament and you don't feel comfortable, you can still play on these maps, you can still play in this competitive setting, but just on a more casual basis in this type of structured PvP in pickup play. Being a PvP player myself, structured PvP in Guild Wars 2 is very interesting to me. The tournament play seems like it's going to be extremely competitive. They are going to have player rankings on there, they're going to have tournament rankings, team rankings. People are going to know who the top teams are in each server and who the best players are overall. Now, this raises two questions for me really. One, has ArenaNet got the potential to be an esports game, a really big popular game that can be involved in tournaments, involved in big cash prizes, and will it grow as a PvP community, as a competitive community? Two, how balanced really is the PvP in Guild Wars 2? You have to understand that making an MMO balanced in PvP is so hard, especially with the combat system in Guild Wars 2, how different it is to other MMOs. No one's going to be used to it from the off, but when people get better and people are going to be able to dodge, people are going to be able to do different crazy combinations. Obviously this is going to take a lot of skill to do with teams, but is it going to be a hindrance to the game in PvP as to some classes are going to be overpowered against others, some classes and skills are going to be too hard to deal with as a cloth, and you're not going to be able to balance it correctly in a PvP sense, in a balance issue. Are there going to be certain skills that you can just sit there and think, I could not do anything to get past that skill. I couldn't dodge out of the way, I couldn't block it, I couldn't do anything. In other games they have different mechanics in there because they don't have this type of combat system where it's quite actiony, they just have sort of numbers. They have mechanics in there that break away from all this. They can balance one skill by just implementing another skill. Guild Wars 2 doesn't have this option of having so many skills involved. However, Guild Wars 2 isn't about skills. It's more about positioning, it's more about teamwork, and it's more to do with brute force, really, coming as a team, completely outplaying the other team in dodging, in positioning, in just getting things done. However, I'm quite confident about the balance and the PvP in Guild Wars 2, as they've already been talking about things like esports, they've already been talking about balance, and they really want to get involved in sort of the competitive, player on player community. So really we don't have that much to worry about in terms of how the combat's going to work and how the balance is going to sort of pan out in the game. Even though we haven't got many skills on our skill bar, there are so many potential skills that can be possible in this game. For example, going back to the Elementalist has the ability to change attunements, so they can have an earth, fire, water, air. They have different types of magic they can put out, and the earth attunement is an defensive one, for example. So if someone across the map is getting beaten on by, say, a thief, then the Elementalist can switch to the earth attunement. As I say again, I do not know the skills, but say they can, fire a boulder across in front of his teammate, blocking the thief from getting to him, then that teammate can run away. This is a very reactive game rather than proactive. You are doing things by what you see on the screen. You are not doing things because that is your role, that is what you need to do. Even in PvP, in some cases that is a sense. For example, I've played a warlock in WoW, I've played an engineer in Warhammer, and each time you have a role to play, both of them are sort of damage over time based, or dots. And I know if I go into arena, I've got to get dots straight up on everyone and keep them up on everyone, and then just focus on CC. As an engineer, it was basically the same. I've got to get my turret set up in a good place, I've got to get dots up on everyone I can see, and that's just what I've got to do. That is my role to play in PvP. Obviously there's a lot more involved in that, in skill and positioning and kiting, etc. But in Guild Wars 2, we're not worried about this. We are worried about what we see on screen. If there's a big giant wall in front of me as a thief, what do I need to do? I need to turn around and attack someone else. It's all to do with what you see on screen, and I reckon this is going to be such a skill-based game, such a team-based aspect of PvP in general, but it's going to really shout out there to other games, what are you doing? Look at this, it's amazing. But of course, not to, throw all my cards, put all my eggs in one basket, as to say, it might, as I said earlier on, be a hindrance to the game, and it might not be so out of there that we're not used to it, and it just maybe wouldn't work in a PvP aspect because it might be really unbalanced. But again, I must stress that my main hope in all of this is the fact that ArenaNet have implemented a player ranking system, they've implemented a tournament system within their game, so I really do think that they've tried this out and tried and tested, and it really works, so they can afford to put these things in there without the community sort of not really getting themselves involved, because it's way too overpowered, and one certain setup is just the setup that's being used in tournaments. But either way, I think it could be extremely fun, player versus player, in structured PvP in Guild Wars 2. One more quick point that I forgot to talk about is the fact that there's no dedicated healing classes in Guild Wars 2. This means that every single class is going to be a damage per second class, a DPS class. Obviously we're going to have like tank in quotations classes there, but this changes the aspects of PvP so much. We are going to be able to, if someone's down, they're going to be put into a down state in PvP, so are you going to have a dedicated person in your team to just run around and pick up everyone that's downed? How are you going to finish off a game if everyone's just being able to get picked up when they're put into a down state? How are you going to finish people? Again, this all comes back to positioning and skill of your team and your communication. If someone's about to put someone in a down state, get someone else to get everyone around that person away from that area by putting up AoE, by knocking people back. Do what you can to just get that person out of the game. I'm running out of time here, but this whole new idea of PvP is just so exciting, and I think this is going to change the way MMOs even think about doing PvP, because Guild Wars just gets it right. But I'm afraid I'm going to have to stop there, as this video is coming to a close, and I would like to thank you all for watching part 1, well, episode 1 I suppose, of Let's Talk Guild Wars 2 Weekly. As in the name, you can tell every single week I'm going to be talking about different topics, going over, different aspects of different things, basically just going into a little bit more detail, having a little bit more of a discussion on certain topics. So thanks for watching. This is Philetic signing up.